This is Shane Watson here at PSV Sports. I'm here joined by Jumping Jack, apparently. Former WBO World Champion and Mr. Boxnation, Barry Jones. How are you?
I'm very well, sir. How are you? Nice to see you again, boys. Yeah. Little man there behind the camera.
Yeah, obviously one exciting fight we have here. We've got the press conference underway. Finally got the fight date announced again. It looks like this time it could be going ahead. So how do you feel ahead of fight night? And what's the outcome you think it's going to be too?
I think you've got to go with form, and you have to go with the same result. I didn't give, and I've said this loads of times, I didn't give Tyson any chance of winning the first fight. I just thought however well he could move and all the antics, that he made too many mistakes, and that Vladimir would be patient and catch him with that right hand. The right hand he never threw until the last round, and I don't think there was a reason for that, except for Tyson didn't allow him. I just think he was surprised how fast he was by foot and his hand speed as well. And I think you've got to go the same again. I can't see, unless, you know, if they both turn up in peak condition, you have to go with Tyson Fury. You know, I just can't see how you can. You always have to go with what logic tells you, and for me, it's Tyson Fury got the style to beat him. I think Vladimir realised that the size was a factor. He didn't think it would be. He thought he had a solid jab, and he could take away Tyson's movement with the solid jab, and it didn't work for him. It didn't work. I think he underestimated how fleet-footed Tyson is. He's probably the most agile heavyweight we've had in the last, at this level in the last 10 years or so. For a big fella, he moves like a cruiserweight. Obviously,
you've got Billy Joe Saunders on the undercard as well, and we don't want to look ahead of this fight that he's got coming up, although we don't know the opponent yet. But obviously, after the fight with Golovkin Brook, the first person Golovkin called out was Billy Joe Saunders. Now, obviously, knowing about Billy Joe Saunders' hand speed and his footwork, do you give him a good chance in winning that fight if that fight comes across? I
don't give anyone a chance of beating Golovkin. I don't. Listen, I think Billy's a skillful boxer. I think you have to be a mover to beat Golovkin, but you also have to hit hard enough to stop him in his tracks. I think Golovkin got a tremendous chin, and I think Brook hit him with some great shots, but just enough to just stop him for a while, not enough to push him back, not enough, but he did push him back a little bit, but not enough to push him back, not enough to really hurt him, and Kel can bang. I know he's a welterweight coming up, but he's a really light middleweight coming up, and he can bang anyway, and I think Billy's footwork Billy's one of the best, purest boxers in the world right now. For just, actual boxing ability, he really is. He's beautiful to watch. And he has great footwork and fast hands, and he's clever, he thinks, and he's patient. All these things tick the right boxes. But I think with Golovkin, he just if you can't really hurt him, he'll just walk through you. And he hits and he hurts hard. He hurts and he hits hard, I should say. And even with all of Billy's footwork and movement, and Billy would be able to spin him quite often, you can't run for 12 rounds. I know, because I've tried. I know I've tried it, and it doesn't work. And Billy also is a tough guy, and Billy is a proud man, and he'll want to stand his ground at some point. And so, yeah, I'd love to see the fight. I think Billy would do himself proud. But for me right now, I think Golovkin is the closest you get to unbeatable, and I think he's a middleweight king for as long as he wants to be.
Obviously, middleweight division over the years has been a great division in boxing. How do you rate Golovkin among some of the best middleweights of all time?
It's always very hard to rate boxers with other eras, because of how we live our lives and everything different. Like say Jake LaMotta, for instance, is like 5'9", but you see him, he's not even that big. And the height's not a factor, but he's a small man, because you eat different food. They're naturally bigger guys now, so even though they're weighing at 11.5 to 11.6, they're naturally bigger guys coming down. They're weighing 24 hours before, means they're bigger guys again coming down in weight. So it's hard, but would Golovkin be better than Gerald McKellen? People like that, people who could punch. I don't know. How would he be with Mike McCallum? I don't know. It's hard to think. Even Hagler. How tough was Hagler? It's hard. I can't put him up there with I don't think he's the best middleweight who's ever lived, because he hasn't boxed great fighters. He's boxed good fighters. Great fighters. Like Brook might end up being a great fighter, but he's just a very good fighter now who's smaller than him. Martin Murray, they're all good world level fighters, but no one stands out as a super fighter. And so until that happens, it's hard to gauge. For me, no, I think he still makes too many mistakes. I think technically he's almost gone back a little bit, because when he first won the title, he had more head movement. He was making more traps for people. He had more intelligence, until he realised, I don't have to. I can just walk right through you. and now that's what he does. Well, that becomes a habit and a bad habit. So one day that won't work for him, maybe. But I still think he's unbeatable in this. Around the middleweight round right now, he's unbeatable. Daniel Jacobs had a good win on Saturday night against Sergio Mora, who's a light middleweight moving up. So, you know, that'd be a good fight for him. Billy Joe Saunders gives him a test, you know. But I can't really pick anyone to beat him, to be honest. And as for Hall of Famers, he might end up being a Hall of Famer, but I love the 80s boxing, and I always pick them fighters to beat any boxers from almost any era, to be honest.
So obviously, we've got, just to round it off. Yeah, that went on for a while. Obviously, we've got another great contest, light middleweight contest, coming up in Liam Smith and Canelo. I personally give Liam Smith a great chance in this fight due to his body punching. How much of a chance do you give Liam Smith in this fight against Canelo?
Not as much as you. I know I'm a Boxnation guy, and he's one of our fighters, and I want him to win. And he's a lovely kid, and his family are fantastic. And I would be happier than most people if he were to pull the win. But again, you've got to go with logic, and I think he is a good body puncher. He's a tight defence, clever than what people give him credit for. You know, variety in his work as well. He threw the lead uppercut. He's very Mexican-like. But can you out-Mexican a Mexican? I don't know, you know. And he's a big light middleweight, so he ticks a few boxes again. That's my favourite saying now, ticking boxes. But Canelo, they say with Canelo he's been hand-picked opponents, and he's boxed like smaller people. Cotto's been actually smaller, and there's a few others. But, you know, I think you've got to be a Lara or even an Austin Trout, you know, someone who's fleet-of-footed, I think, to give Canelo trouble. You've got to be elusive, and I don't think Liam... He's good defensively, he's not elusive, he's there. And I think it'll be a great fight because they'll go head-to-head. But, again, you go with form and all the rest of it, you know, like if you were a bookie. And Liam Smith hasn't really boxed anyone in world class just yet. And Canelo has. So I hope Liam Smith steps up to the plate and proves he's more than worthy. And I'd be happy as laddie. But right now I think Canelo has the edge in about pretty much everything.
Okay, well, thanks for talking to PSP Sports, Barry. We always enjoy having you on the show, and you're quite a popular one now as well.
Your longest interview, aren't I?
Yeah. So we'll hopefully see you again soon.